This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Clinton versus Florence. Mrs. Clinton, Mr. and Mrs. Florence, I've read the materials that you've submitted to this court. It's my understanding, Ms. Clinton, that you are suing the Florences for injuries that you sustained while at a birthday party for kids on the Florences' property, and you're suing them for $10,000 in medical expenses, $7,500 for lost wages, and $82,500 for pain and suffering, for a total of $100,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. and Mrs. Florence, you all believe that she was a mama bear. She was a bit of a pushy parent, and she's kind of responsible for her own injuries, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, now let's get into the legal sauce. What led up to you going to this birthday
Yes,
party?
my son and the Florence's son go to school together, and I don't know them very well just from when we used to be on PTA together.
But you had met them before this time?
Yes, a few times, Your Honor.
Okay.
So they invited us to a birthday party for their son, and we were under the impression it was going to be a lot of kids their age. They were going to have farm animals there that the kids could interact with. You know, all the parents were excited, all the kids were excited. My son kept begging me to be able to go.
Had you ever taken your son to a petting zoo or anywhere where there were animals before this day?
Yes, Your Honor, I had.
So you knew what to expect?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And we arrived, and things did not turn out the way they should have.
So, Mr. and Mrs. Florence, this happened at your home.
Yes, Your Honor.
You all were planning for this birthday party, planning to have some animals, right? What went into the planning?
Well, Your Honor, we own a llama farm. So my son wanted to show off the llamas to all his friends.
So it's fair to say that y'all know llamas, right?
Your Honor.
Yes,
I mean,
Your
it's
Honor.
kind of an odd thing to know, but y'all know llamas because you raise
We
llamas.
do, yes, Your Honor.
We've been
Okay.
raising llamas for 10 years, Your Honor.
Yeah.
What makes a llama special?
Well, first off, they're very docile creatures. They're fantastic. We have a good time with them, and they're cute. You know,
Yeah, they look like sweet animals,
Yeah,
but
sweet animals.
you know, Winnie the Pooh looks sweet.
See, there's our llama right there.
Yes.
We take them to events. We take Mabel and DeAndre to events, and we've never had an issue. We've never had issues.
So
They're
you said
children.
Mabel. The llama's name is Mabel? You all name the llama?
We do.
Yes.
They're part
Okay.
of the family. Your
So having a llama at a birthday party, had y'all done this before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, did anything happen before?
No, Your Honor.
Miss Clinton, tell me how you get to the party, now what happened? How did you get hurt?
Okay, sure. So, Your Honor, we were at the party. Kids were running around having a good time.
Okay.
The llamas were roaming around in a pasture, meadow, if you will. There were no pins of any kind that were containing. There were no ropes anywhere. There were nothing to hold the llama in place.
Were you concerned at this point for your safety and
Well-
your son's safety?
Your Honor, these are not lions.
Not
They're llamas.
necessarily, Your
Yes, sir,
Honor.
I understand.
So we really didn't think we would have a reason to be concerned. It was only when we were told by the Florences that, you know, the kids could get closer to take pictures and possibly...
And that
have
was
the
one
animal-
thing you wanted to do. 'Cause
Correct,
People
my
want to
son.
create these memories.
Yes.
I took my son to a petting zoo, and
Right.
you know, when you think about it,
Yeah.
Your Honor,
it's a happy thing, but
Yes,
when you
sir.
get close to it, it can be a little scary.
That is correct.
So tell me what happened with Mabel.
So as I was saying, we were able to get closer per the permission of the Florences. They
Okay.
told everyone we could get closer to take pictures. As a group, a lot of the kids ran up. The parents were with them to take pictures. There were several parents and people that were taking pictures from afar.
How close to Mabel are you at this point?
I would say maybe 2 feet, 3 feet tops.
2
So it-
inches, Your Honor.
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
No.
Were you comfortable at 2 feet away?
Yes, as I said, I've never had an issue with the llama before, especially in a petting zoo.
So what happened?
So we're standing there in front of the llama, ready to take pictures. We were told that it was a gentle animal.
Okay.
So we took that word and we start to take pictures. And I noticed that the llama starts getting fidgety and wiggling around, moving a little
Was
bit
there
more.
flash or anything that made her wiggle?
Not at that point.
Okay.
So the kids.
A wiggling llama.
Your
Okay.
Honor, what she hasn't told you about this is that she went straight up to Mabel,
Yep.
and to get a picture with her son, she started snapping in Mabel's face and whistling.
That
Okay,
is
now,
not true,
now
Your
tell me
Honor.
about that.
So
'cause
that
That is
is
not
not
true.
Hold on,
act like
hold
that
on.
around an animal.
That's
You're gonna
important.
get what you deserve.
That's important.
Okay.
Did you snap when you're trying to get Mabel's attention?
No, Your Honor, I was not snapping. Now I did.
Yes, she
That's a
did,
lie.
Your
I
Honor.
did
That's
try
a
to
lie.
get
She did.
attention of the llama so that it wasn't looking away from the camera.
By snapping her fingers.
So you're up close to Mabel.
Right.
You're
I'm
trying to get a
2 feet away
photograph.
I'm trying to get a photograph.
How do you get hurt near a wiggling llama?
Well,
Your Honor, I'll
as-
tell you how she got hurt.
Well, I asked her. I'll hear from you.
So, Your Honor, as I could tell that the llama was getting agitated, I pushed my son out of the way, and as I tried to flee from it as well, it actually reared up and it spit on me, and I tried to flee, and when it reared up, I slipped and fell and hurt my back. No one deserves to be hurt like this. No one deserves to be hurt, period, especially at a kid's birthday party.
That's right.
My son was traumatized
all these
because
other
of what
kids could
happened
follow
to
instructions
me.
and no one else got hurt.
I'm in so much pain.
Yeah.
And so is my son from seeing this. I can't even hold my son like I used to. I can't do anything that a mom should be able to do because
Folks,
of what
I need
your
order.
did.
Yes, sir.
I need order in this court. Tell me about your injury specifically. What happened to you?
Sure. So between my C1 and C2, I herniated my disc in my back, and it causes a lot of swelling and aches and pains and muscle spasms in my back. Basically, if you don't mind, I can show you.
Yes, ma'am.
It causes radiating pains. This is painful. And they radiate all the way
Does the
down.
brace help?
It does, but it's only temporary.
Tell me about the impact of this on your job.
So I've actually missed 62 days of work.
Ms. Clinton, you're asking for $82,500 for pain and suffering.
Yes.
That's a lot of pain and suffering. Tell me about that experience.
It hurts everything. It's not just my back. The back is connected to everything.
Mabel should be suing her.
So, Mr. Florence, do you really mean that?
Mabel is the victim in this case. We're the victims.
Yeah.
Please tell me how Mabel is the
Okay,
victim.
well, first off, Your Honor, before we gave specific instructions,
We did.
I got about when we go see the llama, do not come close, no loud noises, no fast, jerky movements. And
Did y'all know that this kind of stuff agitates Mabel?
yes,
Well, that's
absolutely.
how llamas are, Your Honor. You treat them with respect and you walk slowly toward them.
Here's the problem, Your Honor. Even though they're stating that they gave clear instructions, no, they did not. They said, don't come near the llama, don't.
And then she bums rushed the llama, Your Honor.
I don't even know what that means.
Mr. Florence, tell me this. Distance is obviously important,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
But she took a
Hold
picture
on.
on social-
What made you think that she was too close?
Well, we saw her picture on social media. Look how close
Look.
that is.
Hold on.
That is not,
Folks.
that is not
Is
even
that
2
2 feet?
feet away.
Folks,
Sorry, Your Honor.
please, order in this court.
Yes, sir.
I got to hear from both of you to get to the truth. Tell me a little bit about Mabel.
Well,
Give her some flavor so I can get close to
Well,
her.
Your Honor, when she was born, we didn't think she was going to make it. The vet said she probably wasn't going to make it. And so Mabel is our miracle llama. We had to hand feed her and
Sure.
we raised her. And there's times where...
She sounds like she's kind of your baby.
Oh,
She is.
Okay.
Llamas are a little bit like dogs, Your Honor. So they're very personal. They have their own personality.
That's a big dog. How big are these llamas when they're full grown? How big are they?
They can get pretty big.
As big as a full-grown man.
Okay, that's a pretty big dog if you compare them to dogs.
Your Honor, may I interject?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Looks are very deceiving when it comes to that llama because it looks sweet on the film.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's a couple of things. There's pins that are shown on the film right there.
Yes, ma'am.
They were not there during the party. We were told that there was going to be like a petting zoo. There were going to be animals that were available to be taken pictures with, come close to.
So you expected
Correct.
that your son and you would have the joy of petting Mabel.
Correct.
Okay.
And also that it's common sense when you have young children around wild animals that
not
you
wild,
have
Your Honor.
No, they
safety
aren't.
signs or safety precautions somewhere around. That is not a sweet animal. We went expecting to be able to go up, take pictures, maybe even pet the llamas. That's what the invitation, that's what all the kids were talking about. My son was excited to do that.
Well, it just says llamas. I don't know where she got the idea that we were running a petting zoo, that we were just going to have animals around
Yeah,
to
this-
But
touch.
you all
is
expected
a
that
llama
people
farm.
want to touch Mabel, right?
They what? They
I mean,
must- Your
she is
Honor.
beautiful, right?
She is.
It's my understanding that y'all brought Mabel.
We
Yes, sir.
did. Yes, Your Honor.
Now, if she spits on me, we got a problem. You know that.
I don't think we need to worry about
Now,
it.
you all brought your cousin, I guess, is the llama handler?
Yes, sir.
it is.
So, Sheriff Matt, I need you to go get Mabel
Yes,
and
sir.
bring Mr. Florence in.
God. Okay.
We're going to meet Mabel.
I know Mabel, and I'm scared to death of Mabel.
It should be the other way around.
I think she's
Here's
probably
Mabel.
frightened of you.
Oh, y'all going to make me get a llama.
Hey, girl.
Does this look like a creature that's going to harm anybody, Your Honor? Look.
She's beautiful.
This
Well,
is
thank you, Your
She is
Thank
beautiful.
you, Your Honor. We think so too.
Miss Clinton, I must tell you that Mabel doesn't look like a raging beast. I mean, this isn't a hyena in a harness.
But she also has someone holding her reins and keeping next to her when that was not the case at the party.
Mr. Florence, tell me about Mabel.
She is a 5-year-old llama. She's raised around the farm and used to being around people.
How is it that you know when Mabel is getting agitated or irritated?
You can tell a lot by body language, mostly with these guys. They don't make much noise, but you can tell a lot by her ears are up, so she's pretty relaxed, watching their tail. Pacing is a big issue.
So her ears go down when she gets agitated?
Yeah, when she's, if I don't...
Opposite to a dog.
Right, like when I'm not giving her treats or when she's kind of nervous about
You're
things.
looking at me too. Okay.
So yeah.
Miss Clinton, you look like you are scared of Mabel right now.
I am. I'm
She is
terrified.
such a faker,
I'm terrified because I noticed that he's standing closer to the llama than I was, but it attacked me, and I
Well,
didn't
he's
do
a
anything.
llama handler, though.
Yes.
He knows
He's
llama.
being
Llama's his
quiet.
middle name. Mr. Florence, is it okay? Is it okay that I come over and touch Mabel?
Absolutely, yes. Just so you move slowly and don't make a lot of noise.
I'm not usually accused of moving fast.
All right.
Now, Matt, you know what to do if Mabel jumps out of line.
Don't run. Don't run, Your Honor.
Let me put this Barry White on her. Hey, Mabel. Now, where would I touch her?
Their necks. They're kind of head shy as far coming towards her face.
Okay.
Yeah, her neck.
She reminds me of somebody I met once.
Be careful. You're
beautiful.
You don't
Sweet
know.
girl,
Be careful.
Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
A sweet girl.
Gosh.
Yeah, a sweet girl.
Seems pretty docile to me, Miss Clinton.
Well,
Your Honor, if you want to do what she did towards Mabel, yeah, Mabel's going to do the same thing to you, probably.
Tell me about what's that all about?
She was trying to get a picture, and she put her son right next to the llama.
Okay.
And then she started to snap at Mabel to get her to look
whistle.
at her and whistle.
Okay.
So she's right next to Mabel's face, and
Now,
she's
Mr.
snapping
Florence,
like this.
when people do that to a llama such as Mabel, what's likely to happen?
If it's too startling, anything that's going to startle them is going to cause them to try to retreat, to pull back. So she's, obviously I'm giving her treats. If I stop feeding her, obviously
do
she's
we need to get out of
she's never
here?
been in a courtroom either, so.
I did wave my hand to get the llama's attention for the picture,
Yeah.
but I did not snap to make
so
noise
you
because
waved
I
your
heard
hand-
them heed that warning.
You waved your hand, but you didn't snap.
Any kind of noises that they're suggesting that I made was mimicking the noises that I heard them making towards the animal. I did it
So
to
you
try and
made
get
their noises to Mabel.
I tried, yes.
Do it to
Well,
me. I'm Mabel.
I tried. I
Like
tried.
this?
No, Your Honor, I did not snap my fingers.
Okay. Mr. Florence, you and beautiful Mabel may leave.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, Mabel.
Your Honor, as you see, Mabel is used to people. She only responds aggressively when someone acts aggressively towards her.
Absolutely.
And we have never had that issue before. It has never happened.
Y'all basically say zero responsibility for
Absolutely.
you.
Yes, Your
All
Honor,
her
I
fault.
think it's totally on her.
Mr. Florence, you've said a certain feeling about this
Oh, yeah,
that doesn't involve a soft heart.
First off,
you see she's
attack us.
hurt, right? And
first
it
of all,
certainly is no fun to be
we
spat
are truly
upon.
sorry that she is hurt.
Yes, ma'am.
But we
Yeah,
But that
feel
was by
like
her own
it's
doing.
so unjust to us when we were trying to include her
nice,
son.
yes.
She has a reputation. She has a reputation as an aggressive mother. She got kicked off the PTA.
I
at
think
school.
she was drunk.
Kicked-
She came in drunk,
Kicked
probably.
off the
no.
PTA.
I don't even drink.
I mean, Miss Clinton, it's kind of like flunking kindergarten or something. How you get kicked out of the PTA?
Well, ever since I did meet Mrs. Florence,
Yes, ma'am.
I found out, and feel like she's always had a vendetta against me.
Do you
It's
think
very-
she got you kicked out of the PTA?
Yes, and the reason I say that is
The
because
plot thickens. This started out as llama drama. Now this is mama drama.
Your Honor.
And Your Honor, it should
I
have
didn't know
never
I had
brought
this
up.
drama, Your Honor. This is a new one for me.
I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, you really have three things you have to prove. Mrs. Clinton, you have to prove that the Florences were wrong and that their wrong caused your injuries. Here, though, Mrs. Clinton, you moved. You pulled your boy out the way. You tried to get a photo. That's taking some risk when you don't know this animal. You all, on the other hand, close to the animal, taking pictures, loud noises, swift movements, those things set Mabel off, and you should have done a better job to notify parents, because frankly, we're dealing with kids. A kid could have gotten hurt.
you.
But this case represents a shared fault. That is, the law recognizes that fault can be compared. It's called comparative negligence. Here, I find that you were responsible, but you weren't half responsible. You decided to run. Some would call that an overreaction. You all are certainly at fault, because this llama was within your control. You could have given better instructions. I find that you are 49% responsible. And instead of awarding you $100,000 as you seek, I'm going to award you 51% of that, and that is $51,000 against the Florences. That is my final decision, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Nelson, it's my understanding you're suing your ex-wife, Miss Levin, for injuries you sustained while you were on her property. You're asking this court to award you $45,000 for your past medicals, $25,000 for scarring and disfigurement, $90,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $160,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Levin, you believe that Mr. Nelson caused his own injuries and you don't owe him a thing, true?
Absolutely. Yes,
Well,
Your
let's get
Honor.
into the legal sauce. How did you end up at your ex-wife's home?
Well, Sarah and I were married 15 years. She used to be the love of my life. The divorce was finalized 4 months ago. In the divorce, she got our house, I got to pay alimony, and she gets half of my 401k. And then, just to be vindictive, I had to go over there and cut down the trees that I planted in our backyard for her for our 10-year anniversary.
As part of your divorce settlement?
As the divorce decree.
Why would you want him to cut trees down at your house?
I've asked him for years to cut these trees down. They block a bunch of the light that comes into my kitchen, other parts of the home. He tries to paint me as some bad person, but all of these things that he's saying that he gave me in the divorce.
Well, we ain't gonna work out y'all's divorce because some other judge decided that one.
I agree.
Yeah.
However, how do you go from cutting trees down to in that bandage?
So, like I said, Your Honor, in the divorce decree, I had 60 days to cut 23 trees down in our former backyard, now her backyard. So,
The answer is he doesn't know what he was doing.
yeah, well, I didn't know what I was doing. No, I'm sorry you didn't marry a tree expert, Sarah. But I go over there, I had a small window of time with a chainsaw. As soon as I get in there, she starts complaining. She gets on me. She's got a problem with this. She's got a problem with that. I actually, at one point, I had to go outside and vent and send a message to my friends. I just had to get out of that house.
Well, you submitted a video to this court.
Yes, I did.
Is this the message that you sent?
That is a message because my friends know very well.
You don't look really
Because
happy.
he's
does to me.
emotionally unstable, and
Oh.
he has to get his story out first. That's
How do you
just the
think
way
I got
he's
that
always
way,
been.
Sarah?
Let's see the video.
So I'm over here at Sarah's. Got to cut all these trees down. Chainsaw's out of gas. I'm tired. She's giving me dirty looks. I can't stand this woman.
Ms. Levin, were you interfering with this? Were you distracting him?
Oh.
Absolutely
no.
not. He came into the house, and I was surprised that it was him by himself. I didn't see any safety equipment. I didn't see that he had hired anybody.
So, Mr. Nelson, how did this happen?
Well, 15 years ago, I married Sarah.
Well, you thought it was a good idea then, so don't make it such a bad idea today.
He also thought
believe me,
showing
Your
up-
Honor, you should have met her then. She was a whole different person. I don't even recognize this.
Well, we got who we got today, and she certainly got who she got. How'd this happen?
Oh, yeah, she did.
Yeah.
How'd this happen?
So I go over there. I get the chainsaw by myself. I didn't, no, I'm not a tree expert, but I had a plan. So in our former backyard, now her backyard, all the trees are in a line. There's this little platform over, looks like a little deck. I'm on the platform, grab the chainsaw, yank. We
all know how it sounds.
Chainsaw's going,
Thank you.
chainsaw's going. Oh, you know how it sounds. I thought
Yeah.
you were busy. So I walk over there. I take 2 steps. There's a loose board. It's not even nailed down. I trip over the board. I fly through the railing, land 8 feet on the ground, hurt my elbow, broke my elbow, cracked 2 ribs. I can barely breathe. Chainsaw goes flying through the air. It was like a freaking horror movie. Chops out 3 of my fingers. Yes, and you know what she was doing the whole time? You know what she was doing? She was sitting at the kitchen table, having a couple of beers, talking on the phone while I'm out there nearly chopping my entire hand off. And guess who had to call 911 and
So
pick
you
up his own
lopped off-
fingers? Me!
Sounds difficult.
So you lopped off 3 of your fingers?
Yes.
So you fall off this platform, this chainsaw comes down and cuts off 3 of your fingers.
Yes.
And that's what your hand looked like?
Yes. It's the most excruciating
You must
thing
have
I've
been
ever been through in
freaking out
my
with
whole
this.
life.
So you own the property, he's doing something you wanted.
Correct.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And he lops off 3 of his fingers, and this isn't your fault?
His own
Because
negligence. His own.
I asked her a question, so
Thank
I can't
you.
listen to you. I want to hear from you because you are obviously into this. You got skin and fingers in the game. I understand that. Why isn't this your fault?
Your Honor, his own negligence and lack of preparedness. That's what made all of this happen. This had nothing to do with me. This is all of his fault.
This is a man you used to love. You see this injury? Mm-hmm. This has got to tug at your heart some.
I can tell him what to go do with his hand.
I'm real tempted to get into this mess, but it ain't none of my business. Ms. Levin, how did you know something had gone wrong?
I didn't. It had nothing to do with me. I wasn't watching him. This is all in his head that I saw this happen, that I could have done anything to help it.
Well, how did you
just
know he was
Way
hurt?
outside the window.
How did you know he was hurt?
When I heard the sirens and he was getting into the ambulance,
sirens that I
came
called.
outside.
And what did you do?
I obviously tried to do everything that I
another
could.
beer.
It had already happened. I didn't even know, honestly, that he was going to use the platform. He didn't bring a ladder. He didn't use any safety equipment. I didn't even know where in the yard he was.
Mr. Nelson, you've submitted to this court $45,000 in past medicals. You're asking this court to award you $25,000 for scarring and permanent disfigurement and $90,000 for pain and suffering. I want to understand your injuries. Make me understand.
Your Honor, after I fell off the platform, the first thing that happened was I broke my elbow. Then I cracked 2 of my ribs. And then, like I said, the chainsaw landed on me, chopped out 3 of my fingers.
You've had some very severe injuries. You're
sir.
still wrestling with those, I
Yes,
see.
sir. I'm in pain every single day, and my quality of life has changed dramatically. I work with HVAC. I need both my hands. I barely have one. I'm on light duty. I can't even answer the phone anymore.
Your medical records indicate that they were able to reattach your fingers. Can you use that hand?
Not right now. Not until the bandage comes off. I can't even look at it anymore.
So this is what your hand looked after they reattached your fingers.
Yes, sir.
What kind of movement do you have in those 2 fingers?
Not a whole lot. And then, like I said, it's covered with a bandage. I can't even do anything with it anyway.
Ms. Levin, you now own this property. You want your ex-husband to come over and cut these trees down.
Yes,
He
Your
goes up on your platform, on your property. It falls apart, and he lops his fingers off. Why is this not your fault?
Because it's his negligence that contributed to this. He was too cheap to hire anyone. He was too cheap to get any safety equipment. This had nothing to do with me. This is 100%
$7,000 for my guy.
Yeah.
I gave you a quote. You didn't like my guy. You don't like my
Talk
guy.
to me. I asked the question.
Everybody.
I asked the questions. You may have done that in your marriage. You don't get to do that in my courtroom.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Levin, you said he was too cheap. What do you mean by that?
He didn't hire anyone to help him. He didn't get any safety equipment. He's a
money
walking
bags.
liability. If he would have done this in anyone else's backyard and hurt himself, he can't just go around suing people.
You could have hired a tree cutter, right? This is a simple job for a tree cutter.
Well, first of all, Your Honor, with all due respect, she's getting half my money.
You might be mad about the divorce, but you got to get in a line of people that's millions of folks long. That's what you agreed to. Oh, I'm talking. That's what you agreed to. That's what you're stuck with. But you cut your fingers off. You tell me why it's her fault.
Well, in the divorce decree, it says that I can do this job however I want to do this
No, it
job.
says that you're
You
responsible.
got to let him talk, Ms. Levin.
There's the decree.
It reads, final judgment of divorce. The defendant, that would be you, Mr. Nelson, shall be solely responsible for removal of 23 trees from backyard of plaintiff's residence within 60 calendar days of signature of this judgment.
Your Honor, if
Now,
I
why
may-
not hire somebody to do it? You got 60 days to pick somebody.
Because, Your Honor,
Thank you. He wasn't responsible in doing any of this.
responsible. Since she conned her way into getting
Always
our house.
my fault. He cheated
You
in the
always want
marriage.
to relitigate this
Cheated,
divorce.
you-
I'm
you-
not doing that
He
today.
that up?
cheated the marriage.
No, he
and
asked me a question.
We are gonna have order in this court, and that's the second time I slammed this. The third time I turned into the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
okay?
Go get her.
No, I'll get you too.
Sorry.
Y'all talk to me. I'm not relitigating your divorce. I simply want to know, why did you not hire somebody to cut these trees down, a professional?
I really wish I could have, but since we've been divorced, my life just hasn't been the same. I live in a one-bedroom apartment. I'm behind on my car payment. I'm in debt. So I don't have the money to hire somebody. I don't have the money to hire the 18 grand person that she wanted. I barely had money to hire the 7 grand person that I wanted. And that's a buddy of mine who was cutting me a break. Sarah's got a problem with my guy. Sarah
So,
has
Ms.
a
Levin,
problem
you
with
wouldn't let his
everybody.
guy cut the trees down?
Your Honor, he had 60 days to try and find someone. He got a $7,000 quote from someone that I do not want on the property, who's not licensed or bonded. I mean, he's a glorified gardener. He's not qualified.
Well, what did you think was appropriate?
The only quote I got was $18,000, but at the same time, it's not my responsibility.
But that's a lot of money.
But it's his job. It's not my responsibility. It's not my problem.
Mr. Nelson, you believe it's her fault. What did Miss Levin do wrong that caused your injury?
It was her responsibility to maintain whatever's going on out there. Never had a problem with that platform. You see the boards, how old they are? She said she was gonna get that fixed. She never told me there was a problem.
Ms. Levin,
I don't
that
know.
does look
Maybe
like
she
that's in bad
sabotaged
shape.
it.
Your Honor, not only did he live there when we had a hurricane and he knew that the boards were damaged, but he also knew that I put 3 of those slats back down without nailing it. He had full knowledge of it.
So you all had a hurricane.
Yes, while he still lived there. I don't need to tell you that there was a problem.
been gone
Maybe
2
I would
months.
have reminded you if you would have come and talked to me and communicated.
Now, you've submitted a video to this court. Let's take a peek at it on the plasma. This is the storm you were talking about, Ms. Levin?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you believe this is what damaged the platform?
Yes, it's been damaged since that day.
Well, where was Mr. Nelson living when this storm happened?
He was living there. This video was a year before our divorce.
So you all were still married when this happened?
Yes.
So you at least knew what the storm did to the platform, right?
But I had been out of the house for 2 months. She never fixed it. I don't know what she's doing with that house or who's coming in and out of my old house.
Miss Levin, on day 1 after the divorce, this property became yours and yours alone, with the responsibility to keep it in good repair. Why didn't you just fix the platform?
I've just been spending my money on other things.
You mean my money?
No.
And those other things we don't want to talk about.
I know what I meant. It's my money.
Wow. You know, it's always amazing to me that people who used to love each other become enemies.
I know.
And this case is about as personal injury gets. I've heard as much as I need to hear, and I'm ready to render my decision. Folks, part of this case sounded like the tail end of a divorce. And while entertaining, maybe even disturbing, it has nothing to do with this case. This case is about a landowner and someone who came on the landowner's property to do a service. That's a premises liability case. As the landowner, you are responsible, Ms. Levin. If you know about hazards, you're to address them in a reasonable way to reduce the risk of other people coming onto the property. You knew about these boards. Not fixing them, the law sees that as wrong. Mr. Nelson, you were hurt badly. Notice I'm not going to talk about whether you were injured or how badly it was. Following a divorce, to lop off your fingers, life's been kind of unfair to you. But you too have legal responsibilities. When you go onto a property that you lived on, you're charged under the law for being aware of the hazards on that property. This platform didn't become shaky and raggedy in that 2 months. The storm caused it to be raggedy. You knew about the storm. And the reason that's important is in a premises liability case, notice of the hazard is the most important thing. If you know more about the hazard as the landowner and you don't address it, he wins. If you know as much about the hazard as Ms. Levin knows, you lose. Here I find You live there. You know this platform. You knew the hazard and could have protected yourself. You are 50% responsible at least, and despite your terrible injuries. I must find against you, and in your ex-wife's favor, I find for the defendant. That is my verdict, and this matter is adjourned.